Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. So strap up, everybody. This is going to be a very, very different video. I typically talk about things like 401ks, Roth IRAs, HSA accounts, investing in your index funds and things of that nature. But for this particular one, we're going to talk about something a lot different, okay? To all my fellas that are listening, do you realize if you marry a low value woman, there is a very good chance that 40 to 60% of the income that you worked your entire life for, you are going to lose through alimony and child support? Women, do you realize that if you are a low value woman, there is an extremely good chance that if you spend your 20s essentially hoeing it up and being a rebel, that you are going to spend the next 50 to 60 years of your life alone? And there's a very good possibility you're going to have to buy a dog and die alone. For this particular video, everybody, we are going to talk about 16 signs of a low value woman. Sign number one, low value women are usually loud, they're usually trashy, and they usually cause scenes in public. So avoid loud and trashy women literally at all costs. Avoid the type of woman that sticks her finger in your face. Avoid the type of woman that spits on you. Avoid the type of woman who cusses you out publicly in front of people and who screams at you publicly in front of people. Avoid any type of woman who's essentially constantly bringing you public shame by trying to belittle you in public. So a perfect example of a low value woman who essentially causes lots of public shame, Amber Heard. If you're not familiar with who exactly Amber Heard is, she's a relatively attractive woman, very good, well, very aspiring actress, very good actress. She was married to Johnny Depp. And if you actually follow this particular woman in her trial with Johnny Depp, she was essentially spitting on Johnny Depp. She was defecating in his bed. She was cutting off his fingers. She essentially was humiliating and violently attacking this guy. And Amber Heard, as I said, an attractive woman. She had a very affluent acting career. And I'm pretty sure after her behavior behind closed doors has come forward, I don't really think a lot of guys, for lack of a better word, are going to be lining up to marry Amber Heard. And I also think that her burgeoning acting career is probably going to go down the proverbial toilet, because I can't imagine a lot of people are going to be lining up to try to cast her as an A-list celebrity. So a surefire sign of a low-value woman is a woman who is loud, who is trashy, and whatever, who brings public shame. This kind of woman must be avoided literally at all costs. Next, a low-value woman is always giving you advice about how to get a man, and they literally never have one. By its very nature, something that has no value never gets chosen, whereas something that has lots of value never stays in the market for long. I don't care what industry it is. So when I lived in Miami, when I lived in Philly, when I lived in Chicago and places like that, I was constantly running across women that had never been married, and they pretty much, you never saw them with men. They never had any kind of sexual or dating options or whatever. Just in general, men, you never really saw them in public with a bunch of men. But these are the same women that were constantly trying to give women who were in their 20s and early 30s advice about how to get a man, even though these women literally never had one. So ladies, I'm going to keep it completely honest. If a woman is running around giving you advice about how to get a man, and she's over 35 and you literally never see her with one, and she's never been married, do not take advice from her. Don't be the always single girlfriend who's always giving advice about how to get a man and you literally never have one, ladies. And high value women, I don't care how old they are, how gray their hair is or whatever, high value women, I've seen women in their 70s who still have men in their 50s and 60s still trying to get them for marriage and not just for sex. Low value women at best only have men pursuing them for sex, and they usually have to buy a dog and end up dying alone. Next, another sign of a low value woman is that they are utterly delusional about the world around them. You hear these kind of women use words like, I'm a boss chick, I'm a queen, I'm a strong, independent woman, I'm a baby mama by choice, I'm a single mother by choice. Women that are independent, they don't have to claim it. Men, we just can take a look at them and we know. I've also found that women who run around claiming that they're independent or whatever, and that they pay their own bills, usually if it wasn't for alimony, welfare, and child support, they wouldn't be independent. Women who typically call themselves queens or boss chicks, they unfortunately usually very rarely are. And lastly, to all the single mothers who quote unquote run around talking about they're single mothers by choice, no, the reason you're a single mother is because you had sex with a guy who refused to pull out or whatever, and he didn't stick around because he didn't think you were worth marrying, or you basically got pregnant by a guy who didn't think you were worth putting a ring in your finger. Very few women of value I found are basically willing to become openly want to become a single mother. Why? Because who in the world in their right mind would want to basically have to raise a baby on their own, basically, in this crazy world that we live in? And also, ladies, I'll say this. If you have a job and you pay all your bills, then guess what? That makes you an adult. I'm not trying to be cruel, ladies, and I'm honestly I'm just trying to honestly give you the harsh reality about what it is. And also, ladies, I'm also gonna be completely honest with you. Biologically, a 35 plus year old woman, when a man approaches her, in the back of our mind, we're thinking to ourselves, geriatric pregnancy. Don't get mad at me. You can, if you want, blame the man upstairs or whatever. But at the end of the day, ladies, when a woman is over 35 or 36 years old, at the end of the day, men, we look at her as a potentially as a dangerous pregnancy. Whereas when you flip the script or whatever, a man can literally be 90 years old. We can pull a 30-year-old woman, get her pregnant, and have a baby. Whereas you literally constantly always see 70 plus year old men with beautiful 23, 24-year-old women or whatever. But you literally never see 70 some odd year old women with 20 to 25-year-old men who have options. Like I said, don't blame me, blame the man upstairs. Biologically, a woman who basically is running around in her mid to late 30s, still thinking she has the same sexual marketplace value as a woman who's in her early 20s who has a healthy womb, it's complete craziness. And a surefire sign of a low value woman is a woman who is delusional. Next, low value women are unhealthy, they're overweight, and they are extremely obese. So this is the type of woman who's essentially 200 or 300 pounds, and she has sadly convinced herself that she doesn't need to lose weight and that wealthy men will accept her with all of her roles just the way that she is. It's very sad, actually. It's very sad, actually. And we live in pretty much strange times in history in that this is the first time in recorded history that they can know of that more people are dying of health-related issues than of starvation in first world countries. Medical experts are actually starting to say that more people today that are wealthy actually are healthier than people who are poor in the middle class. And that's also no other time in history has this been recorded. Throughout history, men, ladies, have always wanted to select healthy, fit, attractive women to carry on our seed. Why? Because that's our posterity, that's our progeny. We want to basically to make sure that a healthy woman, a healthy, attractive woman can carry on our kids. At the end of the day, that is our legacy. And an overweight, unhealthy, and for lack of a better word, obese woman who refuses to take care of her body and maintain her health means she is not a good candidate basically to carry our kids. That is why you constantly see men with options look completely past women who are in their 40s with all these college degrees or whatever, and they instead go after the gorgeous 20-year-old girl who has a very healthy womb who's still in college. Men, we don't value your college degrees. You don't even particularly care about that. Why? Because we don't have access to your money, and the college degree does nothing for us from a physical standpoint or whatever. However, we do value your womb, and a woman with a healthy womb, that's a woman that men praise. You have control of your weight, ladies. You don't necessarily have control of how tall you are. You don't necessarily have control of your personality. You don't necessarily have certain control about certain things of your life. You do, however, have control of your weight. So as a result, ladies, you need to take care of your weight. As it currently stands, as I'm recording this, 40% of Hispanic women in America are overweight. 50% of white women in America are overweight. 80% of black women are overweight. As a result, ladies, you need to seriously get your weight issues in order, because when it boils down to it, men don't care basically about your quote unquote your college degrees. We care about your womb. Lastly, this is a financial channel. If God blesses you, basically make $100,000 a year and you die of a heart attack at 45, if the retirement age in America is 70 years old, that means you just cost your family $2.5 million. If a man can't trust you to stay healthy or whatever, that means you're telling us you're too lazy and you're too undisciplined to take care of your weight. Assume there are no health issues that come with that. And if we can't trust you basically to take care of your weight, how in the world are we going to trust you basically to raise our children and basically to run our businesses? Next. Also, I want to talk about this as well. I want you guys to be very careful about all this body positivity that the agenda is basically telling you all, because it's essentially leaving you unwanted, it's leaving you broke, and it's leaving you unhealthy. The body positivity thing is willingly telling women to be obese, to be unhealthy, and it's keeping you broke, it's keeping you unhealthy, and it's keeping you unwanted. Obese women typically can't work as long. They don't get promoted as often. And on top of that, they typically don't make less money. Why? Because they have more preventable health-related diseases. Ladies, it's like this. You are being exploited. So wake up. Next, low-value women play stupid games, and they do this to test you. So fellas, if you have a woman that is constantly flirting with other men to see how you'll react, if you have a woman who's constantly pushing you and constantly pushing you to fight other men, constantly doing stupid, putting you in situations where you may potentially catch a case, get rid of that woman immediately. If you have a woman who basically is constantly canceling dates on, she's constantly talking about ex-boyfriends who used to send her more money than who make more money than you. If you have a woman who's constantly basically talking about the rich people she used to date, get rid of her immediately. Ladies, high earning, high quality men with options, they won't play your games. If a man works 12 hours a day and he comes home and works 4 hours a day on his business, the absolute last thing he's going to do is come home and tolerate you basically getting on his nerves and playing stupid games. He'll just replace you. So a surefire sign of a low value woman is a woman who plays very stupid games. Next, a surefire sign of a low value woman is a woman who belittles you, who shames you, who insults you, who demeans you, who guilt trips you, and who emasculates you every chance she gets. If you're with a woman who publicly shames you, if she's constantly insulting you, if she's constantly demeaning you, if she's constantly emasculating you, if she's constantly basically being argumentative, no matter how many facts and figures you show her, get rid of her immediately. If a woman goes for the jugular every time she's around you, she's constantly talking about how you were molested as a child, how you were abandoned by your parents, how you were abused as a kid. If a woman is constantly bringing up the times that you got fired, she's constantly bringing up the times that your business has failed. This woman knows your deepest, darkest, and most insecure moments, and constantly, if she's throwing stuff into your face, get rid of her. Her thinking is that if she belittles and emasculates you, she's going to keep you in a little box that she has so that she can always keep you, so she can always basically keep you around. Get rid of women like that immediately. Why? Because if you don't, there's a very good possibility you may lose your mind one day and catch a case. Next, low value women have a bunch of children from previous relationships, and they expect men like you to take care of them. This is another one of those crazy modern day women kind of things that as men, we just honestly are shaking our heads and don't understand literally at all. Why in the world do average looking modern day broke paycheck to paycheck living women think men are entitled to take care of them and all of their kids that they had with other men and bad choices that did not stick around? All right, this is a financial channel. I'm a mechanical engineer, so let me just break this down from a numbers standpoint. On average, if you want your child to have an average no frills childhood, that means they go to public schools. They don't do they don't do private trainers, no private tutors or whatever. They drive used cars, they wear average clothes, and they go on 2 weeks worth of vacations every year. It costs on average to raise a child from 0 to 18 at least $250,000 over 18-year period. That means on average it costs $1,200 per month to raise your child. Now, let's say you want a slightly more affluent lifestyle for your son or daughter. You want them to have private tutors. You want them to have nutritionists. You want them to have personal trainers so that they can basically play college sports and play varsity basketball or football or varsity track. You want them to have math and science tutors or whatever. A slightly more affluent lifestyle. That's $350,000 over an 18-year period. That means that man's going to pay $1,600 a month for your son, for your daughter. That's $1,600 a month coming out of his pocket for a child that's not even his. So I always ask women, why in the world do you feel entitled that a man should just walk up to you basically and be entitled to automatically pay for all of your kids? Because in the back of his mind, he's thinking to himself, okay, every penny that I give this child who's not mine, or whatever, from a bad choice that this woman made that did not stick around, is money out of my pocket. So if I have a baby with this woman, I got to pay for my kid and I got to pay for her kid. And it's not even my baby. Guys, it's like this. Children, they legitimately are a blessing. But ladies, men with dating options and men who have options or whatever, they normally are not going to marry a woman that comes with a kid. I'm sorry. They're going to play with you. They're going to have sex with you. They're going to take you on dates or whatever. They'll basically have fun with you. But when it boils down to it, when a man basically meets another woman, same sexual marketplace value, she basically looks the same. She's very similar. She treats him the same, similar personality. But man has an option to date a woman who has a kid and a woman who does not have a kid. Most men are going to pick the woman who does not have a kid. And once again, women, just because a woman comes with a child does not mean she's a low value woman. But once again, when given the option to date a woman who does have a kid or a woman who does not have a kid, most men are going to date the woman that does not have a kid. I'm sorry, ladies. It's just the way that it is. Next, low value women have an extremely high body count. By its very nature, once again, something that is readily available and easy to obtain has literally no value. The term high body count obviously differs based off of your culture, where you're from and everything. But typically speaking, low value women always have had sex with a bunch of men. And yes, I understand there's a double standard, ladies, and I get it or whatever. I get it. But at the end of the day, ladies, if your body count resembles a friggin' sausage factory in Hamburg, Germany or whatever, because of the amount of guys that you have been with and slept with or whatever, for a bunch of guys, that's an immediate red flag, and he's not going to marry you. And yeah, like I said, I get it. There's a double standard. A man can be 45 years old. He can be a complete whore or whatever. He can be that gorgeous 21-year-old girl or whatever, marry her, and no one will ever bring up basically his past. I get it, and it's a serious double standard. But life's not fair. Most men won't marry a woman who has slept with most of his friends and who has slept with half the city. If a guy walks in the room and all the guys there are shaking their head, laughing at him because they basically had her first, I hate to say it, ladies, but most men are not going to they're not going to step up to the plate and marry you. They're not going to introduce you to their pastor. They're not going to introduce you to their parents. You're going to be most likely the fun girl. They'll play with you, but when it boils down to actually marrying you, they probably won't. Low value women almost always have a very, very high body count. Next, low value women typically have a terrible reputation. So ladies, you can't pay for a good reputation. Most men will not seriously consider marrying a woman if he goes on her social media page or whatever, her IG page or Instagram account, and it's full of like booty and thong shots and her twerking videos and guys pouring liquor on and stuff like that. Most men with options, they're not gonna marry a woman like that. So ladies, if you make your money basically selling booty shots on OnlyFans or selling trashy feet pics on OnlyFans or having twerking videos or whatever, if you're doing that kind of stuff, oh, men they're gonna click and they're gonna hit like and they may even subscribe. At the end of the day, they're not gonna marry you. For example, if you believe the cesspool that is social media, Kim Kardashian is the most popular woman in the world. If you believe with social media, if you believe in social media, she's a billionaire. She is a 20-year reality running TV show. She plays a lawyer on TV. She's tried to get involved with numerous humanitarian efforts. Kim Kardashian even took credit for getting female inmates released, when in actuality, real lawyers are behind the scenes doing pretty much all the legal work. She's done everything she possibly can, Kim Kardashian, to change her public reputation, and nothing has worked. By all accounts, Kim Kardashian will literally always and forever be linked to C-level R&B singer Ray J for making a sex tape or whatever. She'll always be associated with multiple failed marriages, and on top of that, Kim Kardashian's own children are probably being asked every day in school, "Is this your mother?" A lot of men would have sex with Kim Kardashian, but you would literally never see the Elon Musks, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the LeBron Jameses, the Steph Currys, the Brad Pitts. You would literally never see men of that caliber wasting their time marrying a woman like Kim Kardashian. You would never see them in public with a person like that. So ladies, if you're selling trashy feet pics or you have a bunch of twerking videos or whatever on Instagram and things like that, there's a bunch of thong shots all over your IG and social media pages, a lot of men, you have a bad reputation. They're not going to marry you. Next, another surefire sign of a low value woman is they have lots of issues, lots of unresolved trauma, and they're kind of mental. They're basket cases. Now, mental health is real, people. I'm not saying that people should not get mental therapy, and I'm also not saying that we should belittle those who are going through mental issues. What I am saying is this: men who have options, generally speaking, they're not going to seriously date a woman who basically brings a lot of drama into their life. And you want to know why? Because women that are damaged and they have a lot of drama, they're typically high maintenance, and high maintenance equals high stress. Men that have options, they don't deal with high stress. And this is actually one of those advantages that rich people legitimately do have over the working poor, because most times if you're wealthy, you can afford therapy. Whereas if you're a working poor, you can't afford it till you get older. But at the end of the day, ladies, it's not a man's job to fix you. It's your job to fix yourself. Next, low value women are controlling, they're jealous, and they're always very, very insecure. So nothing is more draining as a man than if you work your balls off, you're running your businesses and everything, to come on to a toxic, insecure woman that is constantly going through your phone and constantly accusing you of cheating on her, constantly accusing you of running other women, constantly accusing you of tricking, and constantly accusing you basically of having other women on the side when you're not actually doing that. One of the main things that they want is they want peace and they want solitude when they come home. And if a woman is insecure, she's constantly going through his phone, constantly bugging him, constantly getting on his last nerves, he's going to replace you, because no man wants to be around a jealous, insecure woman who's constantly accusing him of cheating on her. Next, a surefire sign of a low value woman is a woman who's a fun girl. You can call them the bimbo, you can call them the side chick, you can call them the thought, you can call them whatever. This is the type of girl, they have a lot of names, but you know the one name they never get called? Wife. Guys will sleep with her, guys will date her, they'll take her on expensive trips, they'll buy her things or whatever, she'll get the side chick treatment or whatever, she'll get all that stuff. But typically speaking, good men, they don't marry the sex girl, they don't marry the fun girl. The men who will decide to marry the thought, the fun girl, the bimbo or whatever, those type of guys that will actually marry this type of woman, he'll marry her, they'll be married for 5 or 10 years or whatever, he'll show her off or whatever, and then once he gets sick and tired of her, and she gets older, he'll replace her with another bimbo 10 years younger. And ultimately, don't get too mad at the guy, because these are the kind of men that these types of women typically attract. And on top of that, most men that actually go after these type of women, they make sure that the girl gets a prenup, and they make sure they never have a kid with them. That way, when they get rid of them when they're 30 or 35, they don't have to basically waste any more time and money on them. Ladies, never allow yourself to be that girl. And another surefire sign of a low value woman is the thought, the bimbo, the side chick, whatever you want to call her. But men don't call her wife. Next, low value women typically associate love with materialism. Low value women almost always associate how much a person cares for them about how much they're buying them. If a man wants to be with her, he has to buy those $1,000 red bottoms. It's the type of woman who honestly believes she's superior to a married woman who's been happily married for 20 years, because the married woman is basically walking around with a $200 purse, whereas the side chick or whatever, the material girl or whatever, she's walking around with a $10,000 purse, and she's never been married before. This is the type of way these women think. And on top of that, this is also the type of woman who would demand that a man would basically spend $1,000 to send her on a trip to wherever, so she can basically stunt on Instagram, and instead of actually investing that money into something that's actually going to mean something down the line. Fellas, take it from me. It's a much better investment for you to put $5,000 or $10,000 into your children's college fund, into a good index fund or whatever, into your investment accounts for your real estate properties, instead of putting $10,000 into some girl basically who's only going to be around for 2 or 3 weeks. Low value women are usually terrible with money. They're addicted to likes on Instagram, and on top of that, they usually are addicted to materialism. Next, low value women have no long-term goals, no long-term plans, and they typically have no idea what they're doing, let alone tomorrow, what they're doing next week, let alone tomorrow. So typically, low value women, they're lazy. They have no work ethic. Low value women, they're not building towards anything. Low value women typically have no idea what their career is going to be. This is the type of woman who's 30 some odd years old and she's still living at home with her mommy and daddy, talking about one day I'm gonna start a business, one day I'm gonna get into real estate or whatever. This is the type of woman who usually has no idea how to support herself. She's relying on the welfare, the government, or some simply weak beta male to take care of her. And it's kind of sad because this is the kind of woman who's still running around in her 30s calling herself a Disney princess or a queen or a prize to be won. A typical sign of a low value woman, she has literally no idea what she's going to be doing tomorrow, let alone next year. Next, low value women mostly associate with a lot of other low value women, and they bring down the value of literally every group that they're in. There's an old saying that goes like this: birds of a feather flock together. If you hang out with 10 losers, you're going to be the 11th loser. If you hang out with 10 bums, you're going to be the 11th bum. If you hang out with 10 broke people, you're going to be the 11th broke person. So as it turns out, low value women typically hang out with other low value women. High value women will typically avoid being around low value women. And in the event they actually are around those types of women, they typically kind of write and edit that relationship out of their lives. They slowly stop inviting them to their business events. They slowly stop inviting them to their networking events. They slowly stop inviting to their brunches and their happy hours. Low value women almost always associate with other low value women, and high value women get these women out of their circles very quickly. And lastly, low value women, they bring shame to the family, shame to the business, and they destroy the generational bag. The fastest way to determine whether a woman is low value is whether or not she brings shame to the family and whether or not she basically brings down the family empire and the family business. Good example. From an acting perspective, Jada Pinkett-Smith has not been relevant since she made the movie Set It Off in the 1990s. Her musical career has been an absolute disaster, as literally no one has heard of her rock band, Wicked Witches. The way Jada Pinkett is remaining relevant today is by constantly emasculating, humiliating, and belittling her husband, Will Smith, on her podcast, Red Table Talk. On this particular table talk, she routinely talks about having sex with other men in her husband's bed, and she constantly belittles and emasculates her husband, Will Smith, every chance that she gets. It should also be noted that a lot of people want to bring up an open relationship thing with Jada, but it's like this: Bill Gates, Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke, Melinda Gates, and a lot of other Hollywood celebrities also supposedly all in open relationships. But you don't see these celebrities embarrassing their spouses or basically destroying the bag, because they know that if they publicly humiliate their spouses, it's going to essentially destroy the family's generational wealth down the line. Jada Pinkett and women who think like Jada Pinkett don't think that way. Also, this is a financial channel, so when Will met Jada Smith, this is for the fellas out here, when Will Smith met Jada Smith in the 1990s, she was worth about $5 million. 22 years later, a bad marriage, lots of infidelity, her literally humiliating him every chance that she gets. If Will Smith divorced Jada Pinkett-Smith or whatever, she would walk away with over $200 million. I highly doubt that the Smith fortune that Will Smith built will continue past this generation. What's interesting is that if Will did actually divorce Jada Pinkett-Smith, however, he would literally have millions of women from every country, from all walks of life, pretty much, from every color or whatever, everywhere all around the world, lining up to marry him. Jada Pinkett, however, not a lot of men are basically going to step up to the plate and try to marry a woman who emasculates her husband, who brags about having sex with other men in her husband's bed, and who has sex with her son's friends in her husband's bed. A lot of men ain't pretty much checking for that. So Will Smith, he could probably move on and marry a bunch of other attractive women and probably start another family and have a very successful life. Jada, I don't think she could do that. In closing, everybody, I want to say this. Ladies, just because you are a woman who's very popular, just because you make a lot of money, just because you have a lot of men trying to have sex with you, that does not make you a high value woman. Amber Heard, Kim Kardashian, Jada Pinkett Smith, these are some of the examples that I use. And ladies, if you are showing a lot of the signs on this list, my advice is for you to completely reevaluate the way you're living your life and change. Because if you don't, there's a very good possibility you're going to be looking at the possibility of being 65 years old, having $2,000 in the bank, possibly being homeless, but having to buy a dog, dying alone, and literally having nobody checking on you because you spent your entire life being a rebel. You do not want to be that woman. Men, if you are dating a woman and she exhibits most of the signs on this list, my advice is simple: run. As a man, it is literally impossible to succeed if you plant your seed in contaminated soil. And it is literally impossible almost for you to build generational wealth if you marry and have children with and date the wrong types of women. So that, everybody, please make sure that you tune in for next week where I talk about the signs of a high value woman. This channel, once again, Financipation, is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. It's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. Please follow me at @the_real_Financipation on Instagram. My Facebook channel is Financipation. I have a blog that's going to be coming out soon. And check out some of my digital e-products as well below. Take it easy, everybody. It's your boy, Chris. I'm out. Peace.